Hello students, we are discussing here the chapter number 11 of the class 6. So in the previous class we had discussed about the pinhole camera concept, and we all know that pinhole camera's principle based on the properties of a light. And what are those properties? Light always travel in the straight paths. So in today class we will be discuss about the shadow, how shadow will be formed and what are the shadow. So before to understand the shadow, we will be taking example. As we know that light is always travel in the straight line path. Suppose if I take a torch here, and we all know the torch will be form the light, it will be emit some light and it will be go in the straight lines. If any opaque object, opaque which does not allow to pass the light, so if we will take any opaque object and we will place it in the front of this light source, these are the source of light. So if we will be placed in front of this place, suppose if I take a ball here, and we know that ball are an object, ball is an object, and that are opaque object. So ball can be absorb the light because it is an opaque object, it does not allow to pass the light. So in the behind of the, if I take a screens, in the behind of this object we generally see a dark shaded area. So light can be passed out which are not crossing this opaque object, but which will be cross it, it will be absorbed by this opaque object, it will not allow to pass it. So we generally seen a dark shaded area behind of this object, and these dark shaded area generally known as a shadow of object. So shadow you are seeing, it is only made by the opaque object. You have to remember that. And if we will be compares the directions of the source of light and the shadow, both are in the opposite directions. There are the opaque object are present. So it's opaque. The source of light is present on the right side and shadow will be formed on the left side of the object. So we can say both will be appear, both will be present in the opposite directions. So you have to remember that. And now you will be see if the sunlight is come from the suns. So sunlight, as we know that it sun is present at the higher height. Suppose there are the suns and here we are present. So sunlight will be come from this directions and our shadow will be formed on floor, on the grounds. Okay, why? Because it is just inverted, it is just reverse side. Sun directions is on the this and shadow direction is this, both will be in the opposite. So we can say shadow will be appear by the sunlight, it always we see in the grounds. So any object, any tree shadow, any plant shadow, any bird shadow, any human shadow, that will be appear, that will be visible on the grounds because sun is present on the higher height. So you have to remember that there are the three things that are necessary to observe a shadow. One is the source of light, second is the opaque object, and third is the screen. So if you will be see in this activity, there are all these three things are given. One is the source of light, second is the opaque object, and third is the screen. All these three things are essential to form a shadow of any object. So I think it's clear to you. So you will be see here the when a bird is on the ground, so we can see its shadow which is formed by the sunlight. So birds, plants, humans, any things, if they are an opaque object, so its shadow will be formed on the ground if the light is coming from the sun. So now you will be see here sometimes shadow of an opaque object are not clearly seen because it happens here. It can be happens when the source of light are present more than one. Suppose if I take a one torch here and one torch here, and if I will try to find the shadow, if I will try to find the shadow of a balls, so this light will be appear shadow here, sorry, this light will be appears shadow here, and from this light source shadow will be here. So in this case the shadow of an opaque is not clearly. Okay, so it happens sometimes. So we will be discuss here the shadow of an object or following some characteristics. And what are the characteristics of this image of the shadow, or we can say shadow? Shadow of an object is erect. The meaning of the erect, the same side up of the object. if I will suppose there are a man's, okay, so we know there are a man's, so its shadow will be appear on the skin that are the source of light. So we will be see if its image on this screens, so it will be the same side up. Same side means the head will be appear on the up sides, okay, and its leg will be, we generally see in the bottom sides. So same side of the object, the size will be same, and the directions of the object will be same. But in the pinhole camera we have seen the image is from the inverted, just reverse to the object. If object is standing, so we can say the image will be formed just inverted of an object. So these are the just opposite of the pinhole camera. So second, you will be see here the shadow of an object is the real. What is the meaning of the reals? So you have to remember that the shadow of any object are forming on the screen. So if any object image are formed on the screen, that will be known as the real, okay. जैसे हमने पिन होल का एग्जांपल लिया, in the condition of the pinhole camera these images are also formed on the screen, so that was also the real image, and that is shadow, it is also a real image. Now the third characteristics we will be see, irrespective of the colors of an object, shadow will always black. So you have to remember that in the pinhole camera we had discussed the colors will be depend on the image, okay. If a if a object color is green, so the image will be green. If a color object is red, so image is also formed by the red. But in the shadow conditions, in shadow it will not be depend on the color of any object, okay. It can be the red, blue, any colors, but its shadow will always will be formed in the dark colors because it does not depend on it. And the fourth condition, you will be see the shadow of any object can be the small, can be equal, or can be the bigger than the object. For example, if I take suppose this is a man is standing here, and they are that are the position of the suns, okay. In the morning I think we have seen suns are very horizontal to us, so its light ray will be come from these directions. So we will be observes our image, our shadow will be comparatively larger than us, that will be the height of us, so our shadow will be from a more height, okay. Our shadow has a more height comparatively us. So in the noon, so you will be see sun will be placed here at the top of our head, so size of the shadow will be just lower or smaller, okay. So we have seen in the noon times the shadow will be just appear at our bottoms, but in the some certain case, suppose sun is present here and sunlight is coming from theirs, okay. So in these conditions there are maybe chance shadows height will be equal to our height, so there are also a conditions possible. So we can say the shadow can be smaller than us, smaller than object, shadow can be equal to object, and shadows can be bigger than the object. So that are the some characteristics of the object. So I think it's clear to you. Now you will be see there are some different given the pinhole image and the shadow. What are the difference? We know the image that are formed by the pinhole image, that is the inverted, but the image that are formed by the shadow, that is erect, okay. So you have to remember that that was the inverted is formed by the pinhole camera, and the erect is just shadow. And pinhole camera image will be formed in the same color, but shadow will always in the black color or the dark color. So I think it's clear to you. Now in next class we will be discuss the reflections of the light. So thank you.